"You're fired, Russell." Roger Manning's voice cut through the machine shop hum at 10:45 p.m. on a Tuesday night, 3 days before our biggest steel delivery ever. And this suit-wearing, nepotism-hiring disaster just tossed 17 years of my life in the corporate trash can like yesterday's scrap metal. I'm Russell Webb, 51 years old, ex-Navy Seabee turned lead operations engineer at Steel Track Logistics. That fancy title means I'm basically the guy who keeps steel moving from mills to construction sites without anyone dying or losing millions. I've been keeping this Dallas operation running for 17 years through 4 CEOs, 3 recessions, and more incompetent VPs than I can count on my work-worn hands. Roger stood there in his $2,000 suit, checking his Apple Watch like he had reservations at some fancy steakhouse. Guy fails upwards so fast he breaks physics. Smells like expensive cologne and unearned authority with that dead-eyed smile that says he's about to destroy your life using corporate buzzwords. Effective immediately, he continued, not even looking at my screens where I'd been monitoring the structural load calculations for Project Titan. The massive steel framework order that was supposed to support downtown Houston's new skyscraper foundation. Severance is standard. 2 weeks. Security is already coming up. My mortgage payment flashed through my head. $2,200 a month. My son Jason's college tuition bill sitting on my kitchen counter, $18,000 due next month for his engineering program at Texas A&M. The health insurance I'd lose. The divorce lawyer's final bill I'd been putting off. At 51, getting fired isn't just career disruption. It's financial catastrophe with a side of joint pain from 20 years of heavy lifting. "You're firing me," I said, tasting copper in my mouth 3 days before Titan launches. "Because why exactly?" "Culture fit," Roger said, straightening his tie. "You're too slow, Russell. Too methodical. You double-check everything. Build redundancies for redundancies. We need agility, speed. My niece Ashley thinks your protocols are legacy drag." Ashley Manning, 24 years old, 8-week coding boot camp, calls herself an automation specialist on LinkedIn. The girl who asked me last week if rebar specifications were like Instagram filters for construction. And now she's the reason my ex-wife's threatening to take me back to court for missed child support because I can't maintain stable employment. Legacy drag. I stood up, my chair rolling back. "Roger, that drag is the safety margin keeping every construction worker from here to Houston from getting crushed by structural failures." He held up a manicured hand. Actual manicure like some Wall Street prima donna. "Ashley moves fast. She breaks things to fix them. That's the modern way. She's going to break the company. Eddie will escort you out." Roger gestured to the doorway where Eddie Pierce, our night security guard, stood looking like he wanted to disappear into the floor. "Eddie's a good guy. I bring him coffee every Friday, black with 1 sugar. He knows about Jason's baseball scholarship hopes. He knows about the divorce lawyers bleeding me dry. Now he had to march me out like some criminal. "I need to document the load calculations," I said, reaching for my keyboard. My screen showed the command interface. Green text on black, the language I speak better than English. The cursor blinked at the end of a critical safety override. "Don't touch company equipment." Roger snapped, his corporate mask slipping. "Ashley takes over at 8 a.m. She'll handle integration." The absurdity hit me like a steel beam. Ashley, the girl who thinks tensile strength is how tight you grip your phone. She completed accelerated training. She's certified agile. I grabbed my truck keys from the desk. A worn Ford F-150 keychain bought used 4 years ago when the divorce cleaned out my savings and left me choosing between a reliable vehicle and keeping the house. Next to it sat my pack of Marlboros, my one remaining vice since I quit drinking Jack Daniels for breakfast after the Navy. "You're making a mistake, Roger. A multi-million-dollar mistake. I'll take my chances with innovation over stagnation." I looked at my screens one final time. 3 monitors displaying the guts of Project Titan. Code I'd written, debugged, refined over months of 60-hour weeks, while Jason complained I missed his baseball games. The load balancing system that managed everything from I-beam specifications to concrete pour scheduling. One misplaced decimal could collapse the entire framework. I didn't save my work. I didn't commit the changes. I just reached over and turned off the monitors, leaving my final safety calculations uncommitted in system memory, like leaving a loaded gun on the table. "You sure about this, Roger?" "Completely. Now please, you're making a scene." There was nobody else in the office to see any scene. But in Roger's corporate fantasy, he was already rehearsing the story for the board. how he trimmed the fat, how he ushered in a new era of youthful innovation, how he brought in fresh perspective to challenge outdated thinking. I walked past Eddie. "It's okay, buddy. Just doing your job." "I'm sorry, Russell." Eddie mumbled, his face flushed. "I really am. Not your fault." The circus came to town. The elevator ride down felt like a descent into corporate hell, brushed steel walls and the smell of industrial disinfectant. Eddie stood in the corner trying to make himself invisible. I didn't blame him. Guy was just trying to pay for his kids' braces and his wife's physical therapy bills after her car accident. When the elevator opened in the lobby, I expected to be escorted straight to the parking garage. But Roger, in his infinite corporate wisdom, had forgotten that my access card was still up on my desk, the same card I needed to get my truck out of the employee garage. "Eddie, I need my access card, unless you want me to ram the parking gate with my F-150. Eddie looked panicked. I'll go get it." "I'll go," I said. Left it right next to the server keys. We went back up. This time the elevator opened to a completely different scene. The midnight quiet was gone, replaced by music. That soulless electronic pop that sounds like robots having anxiety attacks. And there, sitting in my ergonomic chair at my workstation, was Ashley Manning. She looked like she'd been assembled in a factory that produces social media influencers. Perfect hair, perfect nails, perfect ignorance. She'd pushed my dual monitor setup aside to make room for her MacBook covered in stickers. Girl boss, coffee and code, disrupt everything. The kind of motivational garbage that makes actual engineers want to throw their keyboards through windows. What stopped my heart wasn't the stickers. It was my main screen. The load calculation console was open, but the safety protocols I'd abandoned were gone, replaced by the vendor's shiny dashboard. The graphical interface I never used because it was about as reliable as a chocolate transmission. And there, pulsing in the corner like a digital tumor, was a red warning bar, structural load variance, manual override active. "Oh my God, is this Russell?" Ashley chirped, spinning around in my chair like some kid at Chuck E. Cheese. She didn't look guilty about destroying my life's work. She looked excited, like she was meeting a celebrity. "Roger said you were leaving." Totally bummer energy, but hey, fresh starts, right? Maybe you can finally learn some modern development practices. I stared at that red warning bar pulsing on my screen like a digital heartbeat counting down to disaster. "Ashley," I said, voice deadly calm, "what did you do to the structural load protocols?" She giggled. Actually giggled like I'd asked about her favorite boy band. "Oh, that kept giving me these super annoying pop-up warnings about stress tolerances and safety margins, so I just turned off the notifications. It's running so much faster now. Look at this loading bar go. No cap, this system is actually bussin' now." My blood turned to ice water. She hadn't just turned off notifications. She disabled the load variance inhibitors, the safety systems that kept our structural calculations from exceeding material limits. It was like removing the brakes from a semi because they made the ride feel sluggish. "That's not speed," I said, gripping my access card so hard the plastic edges cut into my palm. "That's a catastrophic failure cascade. You're overloading the stress calculations with garbage data. You're being so negative," she sighed, rolling those perfectly mascaraed eyes. "Roger said you were a total downer. Look, I'm just optimizing the user experience for tomorrow's launch. Think of it as preheating the oven." The system was literally choking on all these legacy safety checks. "You're not preheating the oven, Ashley. You're setting the entire kitchen on fire." Eddie touched my shoulder. "Russell, we really need to go." Security protocols. I looked at Ashley, already back to scrolling through her phone, probably updating her LinkedIn about crushing another late-night innovation session. She had no clue. She was sitting on a digital nuclear bomb using the detonator as a fidget spinner. I did the math in my head, a skill they don't teach in 8-week boot camps. The system would cascade completely in about 12 minutes. The database would try to process impossible load calculations. The safety protocols would fail to engage because she disabled them. Then the transaction logs would corrupt. Then Project Titan would die a very public, very expensive death right as morning shifts started pouring concrete. 35,000 per minute of downtime, $12 million in steel shipments, sitting in rail yards with no routing data. Construction crews idling at sites from Dallas to Houston with no structural specifications. OSHA investigations, lawsuits, congressional hearings about infrastructure safety. But hey, at least the loading screens would look trendy while the company burned. I turned around without saying another word. No point explaining structural engineering to a hamster. Back in the elevator, Eddie stood quietly in the corner while I pulled out my phone. My thumb hovered over Henry Brooks's contact, the CEO, the guy who built steel track from a single delivery truck in his garage 22 years ago. He wasn't a tech genius, but he was a construction guy. Someone who understood that moving steel from point A to point B required precision, not personality. I checked the time. 11:02 p.m. The system would start its death spiral in exactly 12 minutes. I typed with the precision of a Navy engineer. System crashes in 12 minutes. Morning concrete pours in 6 hours. Good luck with the fresh thinking. Hit send. 3 dots appeared immediately. Then Henry's reply. Don't leave the building. I stopped dead in the middle of the marble lobby. The revolving door was right there. Freedom, unemployment, a bottle of Maker's Mark, and a long conversation with my divorce lawyer about missed child support payments. Maybe a call to my ex-wife explaining why Jason's tuition payment would be late again. But my phone buzzed again. I'm 5 minutes out. Wait for me. Eddie, I said, setting my box down on the expensive Italian leather couch. I think I'm going to sit here for a minute. Technically, you're trespassing now, Russell. Technically, Eddie. I'm the only person in this zip code who knows how to stop what's about to happen. And in about 10 minutes, Roger's going to find out why safety systems exist in the first place. It started subtly, like most disasters do. A flicker on the giant monitor behind the reception desk, the one displaying our regional steel network in real time. Usually it's a beautiful web of green lines connecting steel mills to construction sites, pulsing with live shipment data. At 11:09 p.m., those green lines started stuttering. Carol Parker, the night receptionist, frowned at her workstation. That's weird. My email just froze up. I knew exactly why her email froze. Our Exchange server shares back-end storage clusters with the logistics database, a cost-cutting measure I'd warned against 4 years ago. Roger said fixing it was unnecessary infrastructure spending. Well, Roger, hope you like communicating via smoke signals. At 11:10 p.m., the phone system started its death scream, not ringing, shrieking. The entire switchboard lit up like a Christmas tree in a house fire. Carol grabbed a line, Steel Track Logistics. Hello? Hello, sir? I can't hear you. There's just static. She looked at Eddie with wide, panicked eyes. All the lines are dead. It's just noise. VoIP crash. I whispered to myself. When the database locks up, it strangles network bandwidth like a hand around a throat. Voice packets are the first things thrown overboard when the digital ship starts sinking. Then came the sound of panic, muffled thuds echoing from the stairwell. Someone was sprinting down 18 floors because the elevators were too slow for catastrophe. The stairwell door burst open like a breached hull, and Tommy Rivers stumbled out, our junior systems analyst. Good kid. Chronic asthmatic, looking like he'd just witnessed the digital apocalypse. Eddie! Tommy screamed, ignoring protocol entirely. Eddie, is Russell still here? Please tell me Russell's still here. Eddie pointed at me. Tommy ran over, sweating through his vintage Star Wars t-shirt like he'd just finished a marathon in Death Valley. Russell, oh God, it's all gone. It's completely gone. What's gone, Tommy? I asked, checking my fingernails like I was discussing the weather. The entire staging environment just collapsed. Ashley hit something and everything turned red. The backups aren't mounting. The master database nodes are rejecting authentication keys. It's like the system is eating itself from the inside out. Sounds like a permissions cascade failure, I said calmly. Did someone disable the safety interlocks to improve performance? Tommy's face went ghost white. She said they were creating unnecessary friction in the user workflow. She called them legacy constraints that were blocking innovation velocity. Imagine that. You have to come up, Russell, please. Roger's screaming at everyone. Ashley's locked herself in the server room crying. Houston construction sites are calling every 30 seconds asking why their load specifications are down. If we're still offline when morning shifts start, we lose about $35,000 a minute in operational revenue. I finished for him. Plus liability for delayed construction, regulatory fines, client contract violations. O'Shade's going to crawl so far up this company's exhaust pipe, they'll need surgical extraction. Rough night for Roger's quarterly performance review. Please, Russell, I'll do anything. I can't help you, Tommy. I was terminated for being too slow. I'm officially a security risk now. Eddie, am I authorized to access company systems? Eddie shook his head vigorously. Strict orders. Immediate escort off premises. There you go. I shrugged. My hands are tied. And my severance package definitely didn't include emergency technical support. That's when the revolving door spun with authority, bringing a gust of cold Dallas air and the unmistakable presence of a man used to fixing problems with his bare hands. Henry Brooks walked in like a force of nature. Henry didn't look like the millionaire CEO from magazine covers. His tie was loosened, his hair disheveled, and he was holding his phone like it contained launch codes for nuclear missiles. He ignored the screaming switchboard, ignored Tommy hyperventilating, ignored Carol frantically trying to restart her computer. He walked straight to me with the focused intensity of a man who'd built an empire from truck routes and delivery schedules. "You knew this would happen," he said, his voice like gravel in a cement mixer. "I predicted it. I corrected, standing up from the leather couch." There's a difference between magic and 17 years of reading system logs that everyone else ignores. How bad is it? Catastrophic. Ashley just poured gasoline on an electrical fire while standing in a puddle of water. Your structural integrity monitoring is dead. Your load calculation protocols are corrupted. Your safety systems are disabled. And in about 5 hours, when concrete trucks start showing up at construction sites, they're going to find out that their I-beam specifications are returning error messages instead of structural data. Henry rubbed his face with both hands, suddenly looking every one of his 59 years. "Can you fix it?" I picked up my cardboard box, balancing it against my hip. "That depends, Henry. Are we talking about fixing the servers or fixing the management virus that infected them?" The virus named Roger Manning. The malware named nepotism hiring. The security breach called moving fast and breaking things. The lobby fell silent, except for the distant wailing of phones and the hum of emergency lighting that had kicked in when the main systems failed. Even Carol had stopped trying to answer calls that were nothing but digital static. "Walk with me," Henry said. The executive elevator was different from the worker bee lifts. It glided instead of jerking, had real wood paneling instead of industrial plastic, and smelled like vanilla air freshener instead of industrial disinfectant. Henry stood with his back against the corner, watching the floor numbers climb like he was timing a bomb. "Roger told me you were burnt out," he said as we passed the 10th floor. "Said you were resisting innovation, called you legacy deadweight that was dragging down the team's velocity. Roger thinks innovation means vaping in the server room while his niece deletes critical safety files." I pulled out my battered notebook, coffee-stained, held together with electrical tape, filled with 4 years of ignored warnings. "I'm not burnt out, Henry. I'm the only one in this building who actually reads the documentation." The elevator opened onto the executive floor, where chaos had replaced the usual corporate serenity. People were running down hallways with laptops and stacks of paper. Someone's printer was making the sound of a dying goose. Through the glass walls, I could see the IT command center, where screens displayed nothing but error messages in angry red text. Henry led me into his corner office. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking downtown Dallas, mahogany desk that probably cost more than my truck, and the kind of leather chair that screams, "I've arrived." He slammed the door, cutting off the noise from outside. "What do you know that they don't?" he asked. "Everything that actually works." I dropped my notebook onto his desk with a satisfying thud, the sound of competence hitting expensive wood. "What is this?" "Project Titan Risk Assessment. Complete disaster scenarios and mitigation strategies." I tried to present this to Roger 5 weeks ago. He said the meeting time would be better spent discussing brand synergy for customer-facing interfaces. Henry opened the notebook, his eyes scanning pages of my handwritten analysis. Chicken scratch mixed with technical diagrams and flowcharts that showed every possible failure point in our system architecture. Page 23, I directed. Section titled Catastrophic Failure Scenarios. Nepotism-based security breaches. He flipped to page 23, read for 30 seconds, then looked up at me like I was some kind of prophet. "You predicted exactly what just happened. I predicted that putting an unqualified person with administrative access into a critical system would result in them disabling safety protocols to make pretty dashboards load faster. Ashley was just the specific flavor of incompetence. Could have been anyone with 8 weeks of training and unlimited confidence." He closed the notebook and set it down carefully. "The system's completely black, Russell. Main dashboard is dead. Houston construction sites are sending panicked emails asking why their structural specifications are returning 404 errors. We've got steel shipments sitting at rail yards in Dallas and Fort Worth with $12 million worth of I-beams that need constant routing updates. I know, I said, lighting a cigarette despite the no smoking signs plastered everywhere. I designed those routing systems. High-rise foundations start failing structural integrity checks in 2 hours without proper load calculations. Steel framework gets flagged as construction waste if specifications are corrupted for more than 6 hours. You're looking at liability lawsuits that'll make your insurance company weep. Plus OSHA investigations, congressional hearings about infrastructure safety, and probably criminal negligence charges if anyone gets hurt. Henry walked to his windows, staring out at the city lights like he was watching his empire crumble in real time. Roger showed me Ashley's credentials, portfolio of projects, called her an automation specialist. He showed you a website that certifies people in agile methodologies for $399, the same place that'll ordain you as an online minister or sell you a degree in underwater basket weaving. I took a long drag, feeling the nicotine steady my nerves. Henry, you built this company by moving steel from one place to another. You know that if you use the wrong grade rebar, buildings collapse. You just let Roger pour sugar in our gas tank because the person pouring had the right last name. His reflection in the window looked older than the man who'd walked into the lobby 15 minutes ago. Fix it. No. I'll double your salary. No. Triple it. Plus equity. Plus whatever you want. I laughed, a sound like rusty metal scraping concrete. Henry, you still don't get it. This isn't about money. This is about respect. You let them humiliate me in front of my own team. You let them walk me out of here like some corporate criminal because I was too slow to appreciate the beauty of deleting safety systems. You handed a loaded weapon to a child because she was family. What do you want? I crushed my cigarette in his expensive crystal ashtray. I want the weapon, and I want the people who armed the child to face consequences. You want me to fire Roger and Ashley. I want them gone publicly, tonight, with full acknowledgement of what they did, before I touch a single line of code. Roger's been with me for 6 years. He's VP of Operations. I can't just then start shopping for industrial refrigeration units. I cut him off because you're going to need somewhere to store $12 million worth of scrap steel while you explain to OSHA why your safety monitoring systems were disabled by someone who thinks structural engineering is too slow. Henry turned away from the window. His phone was buzzing constantly now. Alerts, emergency calls, board members who'd been woken up by automated disaster notifications. The weight of decision was written across his face like a roadmap of corporate crisis. Okay. He whispered. I didn't hear you. Okay, he shouted loud enough to be heard through the office walls. You win. Fix the system. I'll handle Roger and Ashley. I picked up my notebook, tucking it under my arm like a general claiming victory. Get me root access to everything. And get me coffee that doesn't taste like it was filtered through a gym sock. The confrontation in the server room was beautiful. Roger's face when Henry announced his immediate termination. Ashley's mascara-streaked confusion when she realized her disruptive innovation had just destroyed her career before it started. The rest of my team, Tommy, Nancy Stone, Gary Montgomery, watching justice served with the efficiency of a well-oiled machine. The fix took 45 minutes. Not because the problem was complex, but because I had to rebuild everything Ashley had destroyed with the digital equivalent of surgical precision. My paranoid backup system, the legacy drag that saved the day, restored every safety protocol, every load calculation, every critical pathway that kept steel moving safely across 3 states. When the screens turned green and the system hummed back to life, the relief in that room was palpable. Construction sites started getting their specifications. Steel shipments resumed routing. The digital heartbeat of American infrastructure was steady again. Henry offered me Chief Operations Officer. Double salary, full equity package, complete oversight of all system changes. Nobody touches the infrastructure without my explicit authorization. Traditional engineering principles over trendy solutions. Merit over connections. I accepted, not for the money, though it was nice. Not for the title, though it carried weight. I accepted because competence had won, experience had triumphed over education certificates. The old ways had proven their worth when the new ways fell apart. 6 months later, I'm sitting in my corner office, the one that used to be Roger's, watching our quarterly reports. SteelTrack's efficiency is up 23%. Downtime is down 67%. Safety violations, 0. OSHA commendations, 3. Stock price has doubled since we went back to legacy operational models. Roger Manning never found another VP position. Word travels fast in industrial circles when you nearly destroy a company through nepotism. He's selling insurance in Tucson now, according to LinkedIn. Ashley moved back in with her parents and works at a coffee shop. Her automation specialist dreams filed under expensive life lessons. Jason's tuition is paid in full. Honor roll every semester. He visits the office sometimes, impressed that his old man runs the technical operations for a multi-million-dollar company. He's studying structural engineering, says he wants to build things that last. I tell him that's the only way to build anything worth building. My ex-wife stopped threatening custody hearings when the child support payments started arriving on time with a few extra zeros attached. She even admitted grudgingly that maybe I'd finally figured out how to provide stability. Funny how that works. Tommy Rivers got promoted to senior systems analyst. Nancy Stone leads our new safety protocols division. Gary Montgomery heads up our apprenticeship program where we teach young engineers the difference between moving fast and moving smart. We hire based on competence now, not connections. Revolutionary concept, the best part. When other companies have digital transformation disasters, they call us. SteelTrack has become the industry standard for how to run complex systems without breaking them. We consult for firms across the country on legacy integration strategies and sustainable innovation practices. I still keep that bottle of Maker's Mark in my desk drawer. Still smoke Marlboros when the stress gets high. Still drive my F-150 to work every morning, though I could afford something fancier now. Some things shouldn't change just because you can afford to change them. The other day, a fresh-faced kid from some coding boot camp applied for a junior position. 8 weeks of training, certified agile portfolio full of disruptive projects. I looked at his resume, thought about Ashley, and hired the 52-year-old military veteran instead. Guy had 20 years of Navy engineering experience and understood that the point of technology is to make things work, not to make things look good on social media. Too slow, my ass. Turns out slow and steady doesn't just win the race. It keeps the whole damn world from falling down. And when the next Roger Manning shows up with his next Ashley, I'll be ready. Some lessons are worth learning the hard way, others are worth teaching. In a world that worships speed, the men who built America understood something the disruptors forgot. Foundations matter more than flash, and experience isn't legacy drag. It's the reason buildings don't collapse and bridges don't fall. They'll call you too slow until the day they need you to save them. And that's when you'll discover that being methodical isn't a weakness. It's the difference between those who build things that last and those who break things that worked.